Today I talk about building discipline in a team, the difference between rank and performance, and reflecting on your goals. Okay, so welcome back to episode 65 of Mind Games TV. Today I am filming behind the scenes. I'm actually streaming behind the scenes live on Periscope here. You can see, hello scopers. So feel free to follow me on Twitter, Mind Games Weldon, if you want to catch the behind the scenes scoping. And today I got a chance to talk about the first day of the TSM boot camp that we're going to be kicking off in a few hours. So let me dig into the show and kind of bring filtering in, and I don't want to take up anybody's space or time.
Anonymous asks, what is a good way to build self-discipline in a team?
How would I answer this question? There's so many different ways. So you're asking for a good way to build self-discipline. Well, I think that I'm going to assume that you have a distributed team. In other words, everybody's in their own house and you're just meeting together to play online. That's like the worst case scenario for building discipline. So in that situation, I think one of the best things you can do is start with the schedule. Get a calendar. Make sure everybody's subscribed to it. Set up a little alarm thing so that they don't have to take away having to remember to do things from people's mind, so that you can make discipline a habit instead of asking them to remember 500 different things. And set a calendar, and then have a agreed upon group punishment for being late to things, and just start with that. Just start with being on time, being late, and kick it off from there. Then you just add things and you get the group together and you agree what would be a good way to discipline this if people screw it up. What is our group willing to do? And it could be if you're 5 minutes late, you have to buy everybody on your team a skin. Or if you're 10 minutes late, you have to buy everybody on your team a box or whatever. And if you're 15 minutes late, then you get one tick against you, and I don't know. Yeah, so you can figure out how long you let it go till you kick somebody. But that I would just start with whatever you can use whatever to teach self-discipline, but the schedule is probably one of the best places to start.
Anonymous asks, how do I tell my friends that a higher rank doesn't make a player unbeatable?
Yeah, so basically you're talking here about motivation. When people have no hope, when they have hopelessness, when they have a challenge that they feel is set too high above them, then their mind is not willing and able to recruit the necessary testosterone, adrenaline, cortisol to come up to the challenge. And so instead what they do is they kind of tilt, or just play regular, or play inconsistent, and they end up not giving it their all because they don't think that they can meet the challenge. So your question is basically how do you make challenge how do you make them rise up to the challenge? And I would say that you make the game smaller. So let's say they actually believe that the higher rank makes the player unbeatable. So don't make beating the higher player the goal. Make it damaging them or killing them, or getting within 50 CS, or winning the game without winning your lane, or something that they can actually make small enough so that they can, in their mind, achieve it against the overwhelming force that they have in front of them. So it's really hard to change belief, the fundamental belief that this person is just better than them, because that takes experiential learning usually, meaning they have to experience it in their body before they believe that it's possible. So you could say something, but that's not going to change their intrinsic way that they look at the world, the paradigm that they look at the world in. So the best way to do is just to make it smaller, so that they can see yeah, I can do that. And if you find something that they are already good at, that they've already shown competence in, that they have confidence that they can accomplish, then you can scaffold that up into beating the better player.
Living Legend X21 asks, what do you think of the concept of reflecting before and after a goal, but not thinking about it while you are doing it?
So when you're setting goals, I think analyzing the system in which you're setting the goal and making sure has a good purpose is kind of common sense. And afterwards, reflecting about how you did is actually one of the reasons that goals work. So if you don't do that, then you're kind of short-circuiting the goal in the first place. And it doesn't really matter what you do when you're trying to achieve the goal, because the focus should always be on your training and on your play. And goals aren't really about trying to amp up your focus. They're trying to direct your focus. So you have, they're trying to collect it on a single point. So instead of focusing on multiple different things and trying to learn a little bit of everything, you try to learn one thing well with deep focus. So we're getting vertical here instead of horizontal. And so if that's what the goal is doing for you, then you're doing it right. And if that's not the goal, if the goal is not functioning in that way, then it's kind of like more about motivation, like just getting up and going, and less about learning. So those are two different applications of goals, and they both work just fine. And I want to end today on a quote by M.H. Alderson. If at first you don't succeed, you are running about average.